So how did you and your fiance meet? And how was it through the show?
She is also a journalist, a very excellent journalist, and she reached out to production.
A woman sits down to do her job. She's a journalist. She's been assigned an interview with the director of a television show about Jesus. And somewhere in the middle of doing that job, the research, the watching, the questions, something happens to her that was not in the assignment. Her own faith comes back to life. Now here's the part that gets me. Through that show, she meets one of its actors. And a few years later, standing in Italy, he asks her to marry him.
It's honestly given me the best gift in the world.
Her faith got renewed because of the show, so that's how we met. That's Giovanni Cairo. He plays Thaddeus. And that isn't a story about a TV show. That's a story about what a TV show did to two people's actual lives. Season 6 arrives on November 15th. 6 episodes, and they cover one day, the last one. And every time a season lands, the same thing happens on the internet. People finish the finale, and within about an hour, they're searching the cast's names, followed by one word: wife, husband, married. Who are these people when they take the costume off? So let's actually answer it. Who they love, who they went home to, who they're marrying. But I want to tell you now where this ends, because it surprised me. There is one man on this cast that people search harder than anybody, and he gives you nothing. Not a name, not a photo, not a word. And when I went looking for what he's hiding, I found something I did not expect at all. I'll get to him. Start with the engagement. Giovanni Cairo plays Thaddeus, one of the quieter disciples, which turns out to be fitting. He has said the show came into his life at a point when he wanted his faith renewed. Not that he'd walked away, that it had gone quiet, the way it does. And he's been open that playing Thaddeus rebuilt something in him. His fiancée is Bella Michaels. She's a broadcast journalist. She spent years as a reporter and weekend anchor at a station in Texas. And her connection to this story didn't start with him. It started with the show itself, and with her faith being renewed by it. And out of that whole chain of events, the two of them found each other. He proposed in Italy, while filming season 6. In the country where they were shooting the last hours of the life of Christ, he got down on one knee. He's talked about what he wants their marriage built on, that they keep Christ at the center of it, that they've learned to say we instead of I. He called her a gift from God. Ecclesiastes 4 says a cord of 3 strands is not quickly broken. 2 people and God woven through the middle of it. That's not decoration on a relationship. It's the structural part, the strand that holds when the other 2 are fraying. And notice the order of it. She didn't find faith because she fell in love with a Christian actor. She found faith first, and the relationship came out of that. God did not use the marriage to fix her faith. He used her faith to build the marriage. Now, most of the cast is not a headline. Noah James plays Andrew. He married Norma in 2022. He came to the role from a secular Jewish background, and he's talked about bringing that with him rather than leaving it at the door. Elizabeth Tabish plays Mary Magdalene, arguably the most emotionally demanding part on the show. She married Stan Mayer, also in 2022. And when she's been asked about their life together, the answer isn't glamorous. It's sitting on a porch swing. That's it. That's the whole answer. I found that oddly moving, and I want to tell you why. We are talking about people who spend their working lives inside the most dramatic story ever told. Betrayal, miracles, and execution. And then the cameras stop, and they drive home. And the actual life is a porch swing, and somebody to sit on it with. Paul writes something in 1 Thessalonians 4 that almost nobody puts on a coffee mug. He tells them to make it their ambition to lead a quiet life. Their ambition. Aim at it. Work toward it. Most of us are ambitious about the opposite. Being seen, being known, being talked about. Paul says the goal is a life so quiet that nobody's writing about it. Two of these people have exactly that. And it's not a lack of a story, it's the story. Which brings us to the man who plays Jesus. Jonathan Roumie is not married. I want to say that plainly, because the internet has decided otherwise several times over. There have been rumors, invented partners, entire fabricated relationships. None of it is true. He's single. And I'm not going to spend this section on his personal life, because it isn't the interesting thing about him. This is. He's told the story of two people who wrote to him, two strangers, and both of them had spent their whole lives as atheists.
I picked two different people, and both of these people that wrote to me happened to have been lifelong atheists.
Both of these people that wrote to me happened to have been lifelong atheists. He describes what happened next, that they had no interest in God at all. And then, somewhere in the process of watching this show, they got curious about the Bible. Then, they started going to church. And then, both of them became Christians. Sit with the mechanism of that for a second, because it's strange. Nobody preached at them. There was no altar call. They watched a drama. They watched actors say lines on a set in Texas and in Italy. And somewhere in there, God moved. Paul explains it in 1 Corinthians 3. I planted, he says. Apollos watered, but God gave the growth. The cast planted, the writers watered. Neither of them can make a single thing grow, and Roumie would be the first to tell you that. Only God does that part. But he does it through people who show up and do their work faithfully, including a crew hauling equipment across a hillside in Italy. If this is the kind of story you come here for, the real lives behind the faith, not the gossip version, take 1 second and hit subscribe. It genuinely decides whether these reach anybody. Now stay with me, because the last two are the ones that changed how I saw this whole cast. Laura Silva plays Eden, Simon Peter's wife, which means her job, week after week, is to play one of the most demanding marriages in Scripture. A woman married to a man who keeps leaving to follow somebody else. And here's what I did not know about her.
I didn't grow up with a strong faith. I didn't have a relationship with Jesus. My mom was raised Catholic.
I didn't grow up with a strong faith. She said she didn't have a relationship with Jesus growing up, that it wasn't the house she was raised in. It came later. In her mid-20s, she found her calling and her relationship with Christ at the same time. And she said plainly that she knew she needed him if she was going to survive an industry like this one. Mid-20s. That is not the testimony anybody edits into a highlight reel. There's no dramatic rock bottom in it. It's just a woman who got there late and got there anyway. And I think we've done real damage to people by implying there's a deadline. That if you didn't get it as a child, or at the youth retreat, or before the wedding, you've missed the window. There's a line in John 15 where Jesus says, "You did not choose me, but I chose you," which is worth hearing carefully. The timing was never yours to run. You were not late. You were called on a schedule you weren't shown. The woman playing the wife of the man Jesus called first found him last. Now, Shahar Isaac. He plays Simon Peter, which is arguably the biggest role on the show after Jesus himself. He has been there since the first season, and he is, by a distance, the cast member people search for hardest when they want to know who somebody's dating. So let me give you the answer, straight, because I'm not going to waste your time pretending I have a scoop. There isn't one. There's no wife, there's no publicly known girlfriend, there's no soft launch on Instagram, no red carpet, no anything. He has kept his romantic life completely, deliberately sealed. And he has done it for years, under real pressure, on a show watched by hundreds of millions of people. That is the secret. The secret is that he decided you don't get this part. And I'll be honest with you, my first instinct was that this was a disappointing answer. Then I thought about it for a while, and I don't think it is anymore. Proverbs 25 opens with a strange little line. It is the glory of God to conceal a matter. God, who could broadcast everything, keeps things. There is such a thing as a holy privacy, a part of your life that stays yours and God's, and is not lesser for being unseen. Most of us have lost the ability to even imagine that. But here's what makes him worth the wait, and this is the part I actually came away thinking about. He gives nothing about his love life, and yet, there's a subject that opens him completely. He's an Israeli-American actor and an Army veteran, and he has spoken publicly, with none of that reserve, about the hostages taken from his country and about the families still waiting for them. He is not performing in those interviews. His voice goes.
It's a dagger in our heart, and the wound is still open.
It's a dagger in our heart. He says the wound is still open, that it's hard to even talk about. Now, I'm going to stay in my lane here because this channel isn't a foreign policy channel, and I'm not going to pretend to referee a conflict from behind a microphone. What I can tell you is this: whatever else is true, there are families who don't know where their people are. And Scripture never asks you to have a position before it asks you to pray. So pray for them, and pray for peace, and let that be enough from me on it. But do you see what it tells you about the man? He is not private because he's cold. He's one of the most openly emotional people on that cast. He just doesn't spend it on the thing you were curious about. He spends it on his people and his heritage, and on a role he takes seriously enough to have said he approaches it without assuming he knows the ending.
I think I have realized at some point in my life that
This is a world that's being written and not already sealed. He was talking about the show, but I cannot get that line out of my head as a description of a life. Not already sealed. So here's what we actually found once we went looking. An engagement that only happened because a journalist's faith came back. 2 marriages that produce no headlines and a porch swing. A man playing Jesus who isn't married and won't pretend otherwise, telling you about 2 atheists who wrote him letters. A woman who found God in her 20s and plays the wife of the man who was called first. And a man who will not tell you one single thing about his heart, and then tells you everything about it the second you ask him about his people. We came in asking who they're with. The better question was what they're made of. Colossians 3 has a line that I think closes this properly. Paul says, "Your life is hidden with Christ in God." Hidden. Not lost, not wasted, not overlooked. Kept. There is a version of your life that no camera will ever get, no feed will ever show, and no stranger will ever search for. And that version is the one God has his hands on. So let me turn it around on you before I let you go. What in your life is nobody watching? The prayer nobody hears. The bill you quietly paid for somebody. The marriage you're rebuilding where nobody can see it. The faith that came to you late, that you've half apologized for ever since. None of that is the unimportant part. That's the actual life. The rest is costume. If this one landed, share it with someone who needs to hear that the hidden part counts. And I'll see you in the next one.